Good morning, soul rebels with a major cause, right? Soul rebels. Thank you for being on this Gita stream this morning. We're going to be addressing kind of the foliables of the astral world, and Yogananda is going to give us a lot of advice about don't mess around with the astral beings, right? When we can tune in with the source itself, when we can tune in with the guru himself, herself, itself, and that source called love, the source from which we've come, live, move, have our being, my dears. So thank you so much for jumping on the Gita Express to the Infinite Bliss on Manifest. Anyone game? Here's a beautiful thing. I want to read you this quote from Yogananda. You probably have not heard it unless you were at my meditation yesterday. The quote from Yogananda. It's gorgeous. It should be put up on our mirrors. Those of us that have a group that we join every week, in some cases, if we go to meditation every day, that we have a group, and this is the power of the group. All right, you want to hear Yogananda's quote before we dive into the misgivings, to the misgivings of what's going on in the astral world and astral beings thinking they're so smarty pants. Right? We'll hear it from the horse's mouth this morning from Yogananda. But this is the quote, my dears. So maybe close your eyes and just enjoy this group, this Narayan. Thank you, Mary and Alex. Thank you for joining. Lisa and Jim, thank you. And Denny for jumping on this Gita Express to the infinite bliss on Manifest this morning. Very wise, very wise. This is what Yogananda says. Why shouldn't you strengthen your own vibrations? Through fellowship with people seeking self realization. Guess what? We are strengthening our own vibration through fellowship with people seeking self realization this morning. Isn't that cool? And by group with meditation with them. This practice will fortify your own spiritual convictions. You just being part of this group, this Gita group, and then the Sacred Soul Meditation group, or whatever other group that brings you a good resonance with the higher love, the higher forces, right? The love force, particularly. This practice will fortify, if we can kind of join a group like this, it will fortify our own spiritual convictions, and we will find that many seemingly insuperable barriers in our life, insufferable, insuperable, I don't know really how you pronounce that, barriers in our life will crumble and dissolve in the waters of meditation. So many barriers will be just taken down if we join a group of like kind, like souled, like hearted, right? That have the same quest as us, because kindred souls, we are kindred souls, Narayan, Mary, and Lisa and Denny. We are kindred souls. That's why we're sitting here right now. And kindred souls hang out together, embodied and out of body. So know for certain that wherever we're doing here in this physical domain, that when it's time to go into the other realms, we're going to have the same powerful group. We're going to be in the same situation, but in the inner world, still growing, still learning, still surrendering, still loving, still being true as best we can to the reality as we understand it to be for us today. Yeah. Our devotion and love for God will commingle. This is beautiful. Our devotion and love for God will commingle with the devotion and love of others. Isn't that beautiful? So, if nothing else, when we get into this astral world, all the junkies that are in the astral world, and and all the other kind of deities that are not deities, but just disembodied souls that are in the astral world when they try to teach us something. All right, they're not necessarily the best teachers. You'll find out. So, and and so let's just be loving, as we always are. Let's just be loving as we engage in Yogananda's blessings this morning and our soul's blessings this morning, because the commingling of our devotion and love for God will commingle with the devotion and love of others. Divine bliss, my dears, bliss are us, right? Divine bliss will radiate from you, helping all persons you meet. Divine bliss will radiate from you as we go about our day today. As we go about with that one beloved who has one goal in mind, and that is to be in our life today. That's all God wants. So, can we open up the door? Oh, door, my heart open wide, I keep for thee. Can we open up so that all those beautiful, highest vibrations that we can literally, figuratively, you know, all surrenderingly, with all true devotionally, devotionally, will accept the blessings that pour into us this morning, okay? So let's give that a go. And now we'll just invoke the presence for a moment as we close our eyes. Enjoy this company, this divine company that we are in as a little soul group, as the soul rebels. We are soul rebels, rebels on fire for complete illumination. We are soul rebels, rebels on fire for complete illumination, liberation, illumination, and happiness for all, prosperity, freedom, freedom, freedom. We are soul rebels, rebels on fire for complete illumination, liberation, and happiness for all, prosperity, freedom, freedom, freedom. All right. So you ready? If you have your books out, my dears, we're going to jump and maybe just reiterate the page 990, 990, volume 2, God Talks to Arjuna. Wow. A little bit that we read last week, because it's just remember we were talking about departed spirits and uh and and supernatural arts and rituals and various dark and powerful entities or the spirits of the deceased and all that stuff last week. Yogananda, I want to just repeat what he has to say about all that. Many persons erroneously imagine that the dead human beings who have passed over to the astral world are in touch with great masters or are themselves deep founts of wisdom. Yogananda goes on to say, the truth is, though, however, a big but. The truth is that most astral beings, the truth is that most astral beings are not reliable messengers, all right, and have attained no final insight into the great mystery. You know, we are who we are today. And that would be if we should slip away from this encasement in the physical body today and just be the spirit soul, we would still be the same, exactly as we are. Whatever we're thinking about today, whatever desires that we're going after today, that will be the same in the astral world. So there's no graduation ceremony until we have the ceremony live every day in this existence, every moment, actually. that we can remember and have that shmirti, that divine memory, that we are totally 100% unconditional love, right? So the truth is that most astral beings are not reliable messages and have attained no final insight into the great mystery. Yogananda goes on to say, the soul is divine. The soul is divine. The soul is divine, another but coming up. But until man and woman achieve soul realization, she is unable. Until we achieve soul realization here and now. Every moment counts, my dears. Every moment is a doorway into God's presence. The present moment is divine, eternal, now loving presence that is present as a present in the present moment. Yeah. Many. So the truth is that many astral beings are not reliable messengers. So the soul is divine, but until this was a big line that we read last week, so worth being repeated. The soul is divine, but until man, woman achieves soul realization, we are unable after death to express any more divinity than we're expressing during this life on earth. That's it. Who you are today. Well, let's look at it this way. Who you are today is everything. You are starlight. You are stardust, my dears. Yeah, you are made of pure, unlimitable, illimitable joy and happiness and freedom and oneness with all that is beautiful and everlasting. Yeah, let's hold on to that for a moment so that we can, if we were to just do our last exhale breath right here on the Gita stream this morning, that we would at least go to a higher place in the inner worlds because of this thought that we just said, that we are really, really holding on to the preciousness of the awareness that each of us have, and the capacity to hold that during all the seeming distractions in daily life, right? That we can still come back to that lover, that beloved who's in our hearts. That's what we talked about yesterday, who just wants to be a part of our experience. Yeah, don't leave God out of your experience, out of your daily life. She, he, it wants to be a part of it, wants to feel what you're feeling to help, help you go get through that experience, knowing that you and God are never apart. Thou and I are never apart. So only those persons who possessed enlightenment while in the physical body. How important is this moment, right? This moment of awareness that we have. Hearing from the horse's mouth, so to speak. Only those persons who possessed enlightenment while in the physical body. So what is our purpose? To possess enlightenment while in the physical body. That's what this day is all about. To be a little more enlightened, to light the light of our awareness and to keep it on, to keep it lit, and to keep our heart and the door of our heart nice and wide and open. Wilt thou come? Wilt thou come? Just for once, come to me. Wow. So only those persons who possess enlightenment while in the physical body are empowered. When, if, when that time comes, when we slip away from these physical forms, that we will possess enlightenment of some kind, right? This is why we have today why we have this moment, why we have this breath. Wow, let's use it to our highest advantage, to our highest advantage. Only those persons who possess enlightenment while in the physical body are empowered upon leaving it to unite with God and to impart illumination to others. So when we depart in the physical body, upon leaving it, we unite with God and we can then impart, we can then, God's will be done, impart illumination to others. The Gita points out, the Gita points out, this is, now this is new, we didn't read this last week. Page 990, toward the bottom. The Gita points out that those who believe in consulting departed spirits, the Gita points out that those who believe in consulting departed spirits are ignorant. Such persons rely on the guidance of astral entities. Instead, do you want the astral entity to give you consult, my dears? Or do you want to seek communion with God, the Heavenly Father, and friend of all? Having his help, Yogananda says, what need of aid from astral beings? Go to source. Source, source. Yeah, go directly. And who goes directly? It's the heart. Your heart is a throb. You, my dears, are heart throbs. Heart throbs for God's love. Heart throbs for being in that union, reunion, that enlightened moments, those enlightening moments where it's just between you and the one. Yeah, you and the beloved. This is what we do. Try it out. I know we all have our own little processes, right? But try it out. Don't do a thing without your companion with you. Don't do the experience alone. Don't go through something, anything. I don't care. Without God being part of it. It makes all the difference, not just some. It makes all the difference. Having his help, what need do we have? I'd like to say, it says here of astral beings, but I'd like to say of anything else. What need do we have of anything else except God's partnership and God's companionship and God's self-realization fellowship? Right? And these beautiful souls that we're imbibing more love than we can handle right now, just sitting here listening to the Bhagavad Gita. Yep, your soul has really got you going in a real powerful direction, my dears. Yeah, homeward bound. So liberated souls do not usually dwell in the astral world. So you won't find the Yogananda there, although in the higher astral plane of Haranyaloka, we know that from the autobiography of a yogi that Sri Yukteswar is helping spirits get souls getting out of the astral world. That's what his job is, in the higher Haranyaloka plane. He's helping souls move on to the causal world. Much, much better, much more suitable. Still a realm. We are realmless eventually, right? But the causal realm is light years above the astral world. So liberated souls do not usually dwell in the astral worlds, Yogananda said, which are reserved for beings who have more or less recently left the earth and who have many lessons yet to learn. So what's the astral world? Who is it for? It's reserved for beings who have more or less recently left the earth and who have many lessons yet to learn. Oh no, more school, more school. Even when we pass on and go into the astral world, more learnings. And remember, Trisha said that she had this little vision. She said when my dad had passed, she had a couple of visions of him, and he came at the last time she had it. He came to her. And he had a he was a good guy, really good guy, just a guy's guy. And anyway, he was cussing and swearing. He said, and they're putting me to work. They're putting me to work. Yeah, I remember her telling me that he was cussing and swearing. They're putting me to work. So that's what it's like. If we're whatever we are here, that's what we will be there. All right. So being here and now really puts a asterisk and stars on this present moment, doesn't it? This present moment's everything. So great masters are unconfined. They're unconfined. They're not confined to any realm. At home in omnipresence they are. Though some of them may appear as saviors, like the Sri Yukteswar, in the astral or even causal spheres. They may appear there. Among these emancipated ones are the great gurus or spiritual preceptors appointed by the Lord to help mankind in silent, secret ways, and they do not require any agent or medium. Yogananda is not big on mediums to reach the truth seeker who wants and needs their aid. They assist their disciples directly. So you can count on it, my dears. If you have an inkling, if you have a love for, a devotion for, or just a resonance with Paramahansa Yogananda and that lineage, you're in ultimate amazing good shape and company. You don't have a worry in the astral world or even the causal world or even this physical world. You don't have a concern at all. As long as you are making an effort, Yogananda said, she will always be with you. As long as you are making the effort. And it doesn't mean that if you're not making the effort, oh my God, God's not with me. No, he's with you, except that you've tuned him out because you have other things that are seemingly more important than to be with your best friend, than to be with that divine one that protects, loves, enjoys. It's just pure, pure fun. With God, everything is fun. Without God, everything is anything but fun, Yogananda says. Don't forget fun. It's fun. Be with the holy ones. Remember, God is eternal laughter, Yogananda says, and a joyful heart is his smile. So don't think that it's not fun to be with those holy people, right? They're just going to make me feel worse than I'm feeling, you know? No, opposite. With God, everything is fun. Without him, everything is anything but fun. They do not require any agent or medium to reach the true seeker who wants and needs their aid. They assist their disciples directly. Go to source. Don't pass go. Just go to source. Whether or not the devotee is conscious of such help does not matter. So we don't have to be conscious of God's presence. We need to be aware of God's presence. I think that might be the same thing, conscious and aware. So whether or not a devotee is conscious of self, such help does not matter. He and she will understand that she and he is receiving divine succor, Succor. I don't know how to pronounce it. Succor, the help. the assistance. They will understand they're receiving divine assistance according to the way she and he himself changes inwardly and outwardly for the better. See, each of you can be a pretty much your own sponsor, your own soul sponsor. You know if you're changing inwardly and outwardly for the better. You know when you're slip sliding a little bit or a lot, right? We know those things. Eloquent. Yogananda goes on to the next page, 991. Eloquent, high sounding phrases that emanate from an ordinary astral being who is posing through the agency of a trance medium as a teacher of mankind have no such power to transform man's spiritual life. This is really a lesson today on keeping good the best company, and the best company is with the masters. The best company is with your guardian angel. The best company are these groups, like I read Yogananda's quote, coming to group meditation, coming to group Gita study, coming to Sacred Soul, and everything beautiful and that is similar for you all. I'm sure you have a nice variety, a nice mix of activities and companies, and to keep yourself, really in prime shape to be in a direct one-on-one relationship with the divine. Because a teacher of mankind through the agency of a trance medium have no such power to transform man and woman's spiritual life. You want to be a powerhouse? Be with the be with the be with the holy ones, be with the great ones in the littlest things, day after day, moment after moment, detail after detail. God is in the details. Happiness is in the details. The ordinary professional or amateur mediums, those without divine realization, are unable to tune in higher than the common astral realms. That's it. Just the common astral realms. Much like you in the physical realm where life is just kind of okay, right? They cannot summon the presence of God knowing saints to ask their views of various questions. Then there's a footnote down here, a big footnote on page 999. Should I read it? Since we have read everything else in this Bhagavad Gita up to page 991. Wow. On several occasions, this is the footnote, Paramahansa Yogananda told his disciples, after my passing, many mediums will say they are in touch with me and are receiving my messages for the world. All such statements will be false. My message for the world has already been expounded in my speeches, classes, and writings. That's why SRF is pretty meticulous, pretty exact about how keeping Yogananda's teachings right as they came out of his beautiful divine consciousness. Do not be misled by persons who, after physical departure from the earth, will assert that they are receiving new teachings from me. To sincere seekers who in prayer request my help, I will always give it gladly and silently. There you go. That's us. That's us, my dears. To sincere seekers who in prayer request my help. Wow, direct, go direct. Dial 111, ask for the one, tell the one I'm the only one. You're the only one. Dial 111, ask for the one, and tell the one, you're my only one. All right? To sincere seekers who in prayer request my help, I will always give it gladly and silently. See, this is still the footnote. As Paramahansa Yogananda predicted, since 1952, a number of misguided mediums have been publicly claiming that they are receiving messages from the great Guru and from the self-realization Param Gurus as well. By borrowing the name of an illustrious teacher, such individuals attract the attention of unsuspecting people who do not understand that the practice of putting the mind in a passive trance state is directly contradictory to the teachings of all true masters. All right. It's just giving us just a little warning section of Gita, right? Warning, beware. You know what it reminds me of, my dears? I was going to call this stream this morning, an idle mind is the devil's workshop. An idle mind is the devil's workshop. Remember that? You've heard that. This is what this section reminds me of. An idle mind is the devil's workshop. We need a mind that is riveted on the divine. That's better company. Best company is with the divine. The latter emphasized the concentration, willpower, and mastery of one's own consciousness are fundamental necessities for spiritual progress. Yeah, the true masters emphasize that concentration, willpower, and mastery of one's own consciousness are fundamental necessities for spiritual progress. Not going into a passive trance state, but using our own concentration, willpower, and mastery of our own consciousness are fundamental necessities for spiritual progress. The claims of some highly publicized mediums notwithstanding, no great teacher would accept the invitation. No great teacher would accept the invitation of a passive mind in the trance state. They go, no, sorry. To do great, okay. The claims of some highly publicized mediums notwithstanding, no great teacher would accept the invitation of a passive mind in the trance state. To do so would encourage a practice that is dangerous psychologically as well as spiritually. So that was the footnote on page 991. Since we're covering the Gita from top to bottom, I don't think we've minced one word or skipped one word. I think, or maybe some there was some very deep stuff that would have gone right over our heads. But mostly we've read every word in here for the most part. So just remember that any agency of a trance medium as a teacher of mankind have no power to transform your spiritual life. The ordinary professional or amateur mediums, those without divine realization, are unable to tune in higher than the common astral realms. We read that. They cannot summon the presence of God-knowing saints to ask their views or various questions. Then we read the footnote. The august beings who are at one with the ineffable infinite. The august. That means the pure, the genuine, the authentic beings who are at one with the ineffable infinite can never be commanded to give a weekly lecture, for instance, through a trance medium on earth. Darkened human minds. The Bhagavad Gita points out. That was our subject, the last stream, darkened human minds. The Bhagavad Gita points out, have many gross misconceptions about the nature of the divine plan for man's redemption. The work of a master is not the same as his work in the astral or in ideational worlds. If only the physical sphere of activity and influence were essential to man's evolution, the Lord would not have created three different planes: the physical, the astral, and the causal planes of being, if the physical sphere was the only one. While physically embodied, a master employs the gross instruments. So the master, in physically embodied, a master takes on all the weaknesses and all the foibles that we have, all the stuff. While physically embodied, a master employs the gross instruments of expression for the easy recognition and acceptance of those who are thus limited. They take on this delusion. His higher spiritual workings on behalf of the world and individual devotees remain generally unseen, but tangibly felt by those who are receptive, right? So we have this beautiful thing called intuition and this resonance and our own personal devotion to the great ones, right? We all are different that way. We all have our different intimacies with the divine, which is highly recommended because their higher spiritual workings on behalf of the world and individual devotees remains generally unseen. So we got to have that keen intuition and insight and awareness, right? But tangibly felt by those who are receptive. Receive me on thy lap, O Mother. Receive me on your lap, O Mother. When this dream is done, you will lift me on your lap. So we become receptive. These are the true blessings and guidance of a master by which changes are wrought in the inner astral and causal natures of man, and which in turn then find expression in the material existence. When the master is no longer encumbered by incarnate constraints, his and her help continues just the same. Just the same. But he does not demean himself and his spiritual effectiveness by seeking gross expression again through mediums. Having given his divine message and testimony while on earth, he doesn't have any afterthoughts. Once a guru, you're always a guru. Once you have that enlightenment, you always have it, right? And the fun thing is that we have it right now, we just don't know it. So there are no afterthoughts for a great teacher. They say what they mean and they mean what they say, requiring revelation, especially if someone thinks they need the revelation by psychics and spiritualists to explain what the master said. But when a devotee by self-effort, remember, those who make self-effort will always be helped by God, always. Those who are making the effort will always be protected, safe and sound, cuddled, snuggled, embraced. That self-effort uplifts our consciousness and meditation to the pure realms of the saints and angels, my dears. That self-effort uplifts our consciousness and meditation to the pure realms, to the pure realms of the saints and angels. She and he himself will perceive through divine sight or wondrous intuitions the presence and guidance of the holy ones who are our spiritual benefactors and the loving God who empowers them to dispense his grace. And the loving God who empowers them to dispense God's grace. Wow. So there's a lot of good news in here, right? We still have a page or two. There's a section in here where we'll be talking about Tramp Souls, and some of you have heard about Tramp Souls as well. So let's just read a little bit more, my dears. We decipher pretty well, I think. We're like that wise ant that removes the sand and takes the sugar, leaves the sand and takes the sugar, right? So the astral world with its various higher and lower vibratory realms contains many beings who are good. Yeah, don't get me wrong. Don't get Yogananda wrong. Many who are ordinary, many who are ordinary, and many who are bad. Just as on earth we find all degrees of goodness and badness among human creatures, the person who indiscriminately opens her mind to receive whatever messages may come to him or her through spirits is not able to tell what sort of contact he is making in the astral spheres. And by becoming receptive to any astral vibration, she and he runs the risk of getting into bad company. He may also become engrossed with phenomena of the lower astral worlds and thus fail to make any spiritual progress toward the only desirable goal, inner illumination, salvation. We're soul rebels, rebels on fire for complete illumination, emancipation, salvation, and happiness for all, prosperity, freedom, freedom, freedom. Yeah. We may also become engrossed in those lower astral worlds and fail to make any spiritual progress toward the desirable goal, inner illumination, salvation. We got it. We're on track. We're a group. We're a tribe. We're covered. Look at this lineage that has our back and is right by our sides all the time. If a person were to keep his or her automobile unlocked, unoccupied, and with the key in the ignition, anyone could get in, drive it, and wreck it. You ever heard that quote from Yogananda? Only in the Gita would you get a quote like that. Never read in a public service that I've ever been in by any of the monks or lay disciples. Person were to keep his automobile unlocked, unoccupied, and with the key in the ignition, anyone could get in, drive it, and wreck it. Similarly, when the mind is kept blank, an idle mind is a devil's workshop. Yeah, that's also a perfect title for this stream, isn't it? When the mind is kept blank, any tramp soul, man, we're in the hell realms any way you look at it until we have that constant companionship, right? And that assurity that we, thou and I, never apart, thou and I, never apart, wave of the sea, dissolve in the sea. Wave of the sea, dissolve in the sea. Similarly, when the mind is kept blank, any tramp soul may get in and possess that hapless individual. These tramp souls are roaming through the ether by the millions. How's that, Narayan, Mary, Lisa, Jim, Denny? These tramp souls are roaming through the ether by the millions. Really? They are seeking rebirth, but because of bad karma, they are unable to incarnate as soon as they desire. Hence, they are continually looking for some foolishly passive mentality. Foolishly, foolishly passive mentality. An idle mind is a devil's workshop. So that they can use that human being's flesh and mind to satisfy their wish for physical embodiment. It's just kind of to know what's in this Gita. Almost anything and everything that you need to know is in this thing. If you don't need it, it wouldn't be here. They can very quickly get into a mind that is permitted to become blank or idle. If a person is weak or negative, then during any attempt to contact departed spirits, such as a seance, he may easily become the victim of a tramp soul. If a person is weak and negative, During any attempt to contact departed spirits, as a seance, he and she may easily become victim of a tramp soul. Such possession deranges the subconscious mind. Wow. I don't know if I'll reread this page again, but it's good to know, right? It's good to know, but more important, it's better to know who knows. And that's our divine teacher, ourself, our soul. By contrast, though, here's some good news. When one practices scientific techniques for God communion, that India developed, his or her mind is not blank, therefore no tramp soul can enter. These practices bypass the subconscious state of the astral realms and develop man and woman's superconscious state by raising the mind to the Christ center in the forehead, where no tramp soul can venture. Thy eye be single, thy whole body will be filled with light. Tramps don't like light. All right, we better end on this sentence. It is the super consciousness that we meet. It's in the super consciousness that we meet true saints and masters. They are surrounded by divine light, my dears, and when one sees them, he, she infallibly knows by intuition that they are great. I'm just marking my book for next week, the 20th. Jan. All right. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, everybody. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, everybody. Thanks for holding the space. See, that's what we're doing. Remember that quote that I read in the beginning? Shall I just kind of put it as a something to remember the stream by? Yeah. Why shouldn't we strengthen our own vibrations through fellowship with people seeking self realization and by group meditation with them? This practice will fortify your own spiritual convictions. You will find that many seemingly insuperable barriers in your life will crumble and dissolve in the waters of meditation. Your devotion and love for God will commingle with the devotion and love of others. Divine bliss will radiate from you, helping all persons you meet. And so it is. See you on the love line to the divine. In every situation, every moment, we are on this love line to the divine, together to get her, Divine Mother. Thank you, everybody. Narayan, Mary, Alex, Lisa, Jim, Denny. Aho. Much love.